Hi guys, welcome back to Finesse. If you're a fan of thrillers, the kind of movies packed with tension, mystery, and nail-biting suspense, then you're in the right place. In this video, I've put together the top 10 best thriller movies that you can stream right now on Netflix, Prime Video, and Tubi. No matter which platform you use, there's something here that will keep you hooked from start to finish. So let's not waste any time and begin. Number 10. Night Always Comes. Directed by Benjamin Caron, Night Always Comes is a tense and deeply atmospheric crime drama thriller that blends social realism with visceral emotional stakes. The story centers on Lynette, a resolute and emotionally fraught woman who finds herself desperately trying to raise $25,000 in just one night after her mother sabotages the family's down payment. As the clock ticks, Lynette plunges into the city's darkest corners, encountering former lovers, exploiters, and echoes of her past. Her odyssey isn't just about money. It's a confrontation with the collapse of her world and the chance to reclaim herself. Vanessa Kirby anchors the film with a committed, quietly explosive performance, embodying a woman balancing on the edge, fueled by both fierce love and mounting despair. The supporting cast delivers powerful, grounded contributions. Jennifer Jason Leigh channels wounded regret, Zach Gottsagen radiates earnest hope as Lynette's brother, and Julia Fox brings volatile energy as an old friend tangled in debt and memories. The film is captured with brooding, cinematic urgency, echoing Portland's neon-lit streets and looming inequality. The pace is relentless, the tone dark, far from escapist thrills. Night Always Comes as a portrait of survival under suffocating pressure. Number 9. Fear of Rain. Directed by Castile Landon, Fear of Rain is a psychological thriller that intertwines emotional vulnerability with unsettling suspense, exploring the fragile line between reality and delusion through the eyes of a young woman living with schizophrenia. The film centers on Rain Burrows, a sensitive teenager recently released from treatment after a severe psychotic episode. Trying to rebuild her life and return to school, she begins to suspect that her neighbor is hiding a terrible secret in her attic. Torn between the haunting possibility of a child in danger and the terrifying thought that it may be another hallucination, Rain struggles to uncover the truth, while those around her question whether she can trust even her own mind. Madison Iseman delivers a layered and poignant performance as Rain, capturing both the terror of losing grip on reality and the desperate need to be believed. Israel Broussard lends warmth and tenderness as Caleb, the classmate who becomes her anchor, while Katherine Heigl and Harry Connick Jr. bring a conflicted mix of empathy and frustration as her parents. Atmospherically intimate and emotionally charged, Fear of Rain favors mood over spectacle, building tension from Rain's perspective rather than traditional jump scares. Number 8. A Widow's Game. Directed by Carlos Sedes, A Widow's Game is a brooding and meticulously crafted crime thriller that blends psychological intrigue with a chilling exploration of power, deceit, and desire. The film centers on Mage, a seemingly grieving widow whose husband is brutally murdered in a Valencia parking garage. As detectives begin to unravel her carefully curated life, layers of manipulation, secret affairs, and buried motives come to light, revealing a woman who may not be the victim she appears to be. Told through shifting perspectives, the story becomes a tense study of obsession and control, where truth itself is always in question. Ivana Baquero commands the film with a magnetic performance, embodying Mage as both vulnerable and calculating. Her enigmatic presence keeps the audience guessing, while Tristan Ulloa brings uneasy sympathy to her lover Salva, and Carmen Machi adds grit and determination as the inspector intent on exposing the truth. Atmospherically restrained and narratively deliberate, A Widow's Game avoids sensationalized thrills in favor of slow-burn tension. Its power lies not in shocking twists, but in the unnerving realization of how manipulation can fester in the most intimate of spaces. The result is a thriller that lingers, less a whodunit than a portrait of how far someone will go when desire and deception collide. Number 7. The Ice Road, directed by Jonathan Hensleigh. The Ice Road is a gritty and old-school action thriller that fuses survival drama with high-stakes suspense across the frozen landscapes of northern Canada. The film centers on Mike McCann, a veteran truck driver who joins a dangerous rescue mission after a diamond mine collapse traps dozens of workers underground. To save them, Mike and a small team must haul critical equipment over thawing ice roads, an unforgiving path where every mile carries the risk of disaster. But as sabotage and betrayal enter the mix, the mission becomes as much a battle against human greed as it is against nature's fury. Liam Neeson anchors the film with a weathered, commanding presence, embodying the quiet resilience of a man who refuses to give up under impossible odds. He's joined by Lawrence Fishburne, Amber Midthunder, and Benjamin Walker, each adding urgency and tension as loyalties are tested and secrets are revealed. Bleakly atmospheric and driven by tense set pieces, The Ice Road doesn't lean on clever twists or layered psychology. It thrives on physical peril, straightforward stakes, and the raw endurance of its characters. Number 6. Man Down. Directed by Dito Montiel, Man Down is a somber and unconventional psychological thriller that fuses post-apocalyptic imagery with an intimate study of trauma and fractured memory. The film centers on Gabriel Drummer, a Marine who returns from Afghanistan only to find a desolate America stripped of order and life. Accompanied by his closest friend, he searches for his missing wife and child, but the further he goes, the more the lines blur between an external wasteland and the inner collapse of his own mind. What begins as a survival mission gradually reveals itself as a meditation on loss, guilt, and the invisible scars of war. Shia LaBeouf anchors the film with a raw and haunting performance, balancing quiet vulnerability with bursts of volatility. His portrayal captures both the fragility and desperation of a soldier unable to reconcile past and present. He's supported by Jai Courtney as a steadfast comrade, Kate Mara as the wife he longs to reconnect with, and Gary Oldman as a counselor whose presence deepens the psychological weight of the story. Tonally bleak and emotionally heavy, Man Down doesn't rely on spectacle or action-driven thrills. It thrives on mood, disorientation, and character-driven tension. Though divisive in execution, it stands as a bold attempt to frame a war story not through battles fought abroad, but through the silent war waged within. Number 5. Tunnel. Directed by Kim Sung-hoon, Tunnel is a tense and grounded survival thriller that fuses edge-of-your-seat suspense with biting social critique. The film centers on Lee Jung-soo, an everyman who becomes trapped when a highway tunnel collapses during his drive home. With dwindling supplies and failing communication, his struggle to stay alive unfolds against the backdrop of a rescue operation mired in red tape, political opportunism, and public pressure. What begins as a desperate fight for survival becomes a broader reflection on responsibility, incompetence, and the value of a single human life. Ha Jung-woo anchors the film with a restrained yet compelling performance, capturing both the claustrophobic panic of entrapment and the quiet determination of a man clinging to hope. He's supported by Bae Doona as his steadfast wife, who injects the story with emotional urgency, and Oh Dal-soo as the weary rescue chief, embodying both empathy and frustration in the face of systemic failure. Bleak yet deeply human, Tunnel doesn't rely on disaster spectacle or overblown action. It thrives on realism, character tension, and moral unease. Fans of survival dramas that balance thrills with social resonance will find it gripping, poignant, and unmistakably Kim Sung-hoon. Number 4. Bullet Train Explosion. Directed by Shinji Higuchi, Bullet Train Explosion is a tense and large-scale disaster thriller that fuses relentless suspense with a sharp meditation on teamwork, duty, and the fragility of modern infrastructure. The film centers on a Tokyo-bound Shinkansen, where a bomb has been planted with a terrifying condition. The train must not slow below 100 kilometers per hour or it will detonate. As the passengers grapple with fear and uncertainty, a stoic conductor takes charge, balancing his duty to protect lives with the chaos unfolding around him. Meanwhile, outside the train, rescue teams, politicians, and engineers race against time, their struggles reflecting both institutional shortcomings and the quiet heroism of those determined to prevent catastrophe. Tsuyoshi Kusanagi anchors the film with a calm yet commanding performance, embodying the weight of responsibility in the face of impossible odds. His portrayal is supported by a diverse ensemble cast, each bringing urgency, vulnerability, and humanity to the crisis. Ranging from everyday commuters to leaders caught between public pressure and personal conviction. Authentically detailed and deliberately paced, Bullet Train Explosion avoids overblown spectacle in favor of realism, precision, and human drama. Number 3. Hannah. Directed by Joe Wright, Hannah is a sleek and unconventional action thriller that fuses fairy tale surrealism with a tightly wound espionage narrative. The film centers on Hannah, a teenage girl raised in isolation by her father, a former CIA agent who has trained her from childhood to be a skilled and lethal fighter. When she ventures into the outside world, Hannah becomes the target of a relentless pursuit led by a ruthless intelligence operative. As she struggles to survive, she also grapples with questions of identity, belonging, and the fragile line between innocence and brutality. Saoirse Ronan brings an arresting performance to Hannah, capturing both the cold precision of a trained assassin and the wide-eyed curiosity of a young girl experiencing the world for the first time. Her portrayal is grounded and deeply affecting, while Eric Bana adds weight as her protective father, and Cate Blanchett delivers a chillingly controlled performance as the antagonist determined to hunt Hannah down. Strikingly crafted and rhythmically propelled by the Chemical Brothers' pulsating score, Hannah avoids standard action tropes in favor of style, mood, and character-driven intensity. It's a chase thriller that doubles as a dark coming-of-age story, leaving a lasting impression through its blend of raw energy and haunting atmosphere. Number 2. Hostels. Directed by Scott Cooper, Hostels is a stark and meditative Western thriller that fuses frontier brutality with a somber reflection on reconciliation, prejudice, and the lingering wounds of war. The film centers on Captain Joseph Blocker, a battle-hardened army officer forced to escort a dying Cheyenne chief and his family across hostile terrain. What begins as a begrudging duty soon unravels into a journey through violence, loss, and moral reckoning, as enemies turned reluctant allies confront the harsh realities of survival and the possibility of forgiveness in a fractured land. Christian Bale anchors the film with a restrained and deeply conflicted performance, embodying the burden of a soldier haunted by both his past deeds and his shifting sense of honor. Wes Studi lends gravity and quiet dignity as Chief Yellowhawk, while Rosamund Pike brings raw emotional power as a widow who finds fragile strength amid devastation. The supporting cast, including Ben Foster and Rory Cochrane, further enriches the film's layered human drama. Bleakly poetic and thematically resonant, Hostels doesn't rely on traditional Western spectacle. It's a slow-burning story that thrives on silence, tension, and moral complexity. Number 1. Subway. Directed by Luc Besson, Subway is a stylish and eccentric French thriller that fuses underground crime drama with surreal comedy and a pulse of romantic intrigue. The film centers on Fred, a charismatic safecracker who hides in the labyrinth of the Paris metro after stealing incriminating documents from a wealthy businessman. As he navigates the tunnels, Fred drifts into a strange community of misfits, petty criminals, and dreamers, all while evading the police and pursuing a dangerous flirtation with the businessman's restless wife. The subway becomes both refuge and stage, a world suspended between chaos, rebellion, and possibility. Christophe Lambert brings a mix of sly charm and defiance to Fred, anchoring the film with a performance that balances cool detachment with bursts of wit. Isabella Gianni embodies mystery and allure as Helena, his unlikely romantic foil, while a supporting cast of quirky outcasts adds texture and energy, turning the underground into a living, breathing ecosystem. Inventively shot and rhythmically paced, Subway doesn't follow traditional thriller beats. It thrives on atmosphere, attitude, and a streak of stylish absurdity. More than a crime story, it's a cult classic that captures the anarchic energy of 1980s Paris, blending neon-lit visuals, music, and mood into Luc Besson's unmistakably offbeat vision.